Taxpayers could be on the hook for a record-setting $90 million police misconduct settlement. That is, if Chicago City Council approves that settlement involving 176 different civil rights lawsuits.
I get so sick and tired of people in this country and in this city that believes that the only thing that you can offer black people and poor people is jails, incarceration, and police officers. We are not split on this issue. The fact of the matter is we are driving violence down on this city, and we're using every single resource that's available to us. Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, yesterday, your boy, oh my gosh, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. You can see it on his face. You can see it by his demeanor. He's under the pressure, y'all. He's feeling it. People are like, what about the violence? And he wants you to know a lot of people used to get killed. A whole lot of people used to get killed in Chicago. Now it's just a lot. Used to be a whole lot. Now it's just a lot. So he wants you to give him his credit. Why are y'all keeping on asking him about the hundreds of people who get killed in Chicago every year when it used to be even more hundreds? He wants to know that. And he also wants you to know that putting people in prison is a sickness. Don't you get it? What is wrong with you? You want to put criminals in prison? Listen, y'all, you need to give the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, his credit. So, y'all, today we're going to take a look at his full, erudite, wise, profound comments. Y'all, we need to listen to this man because he is the illustrious sub 10%. Yo, boy, sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago. But first, we're going to get into, speaking of the sickness of police, y'all, I saw on this channel, Tyson De La Cruz, okay, I'm going to give him a shout out because he did a story on this. I had overlooked it. There's over $90 million, but there's a huge police scandal in the same Chicago where cops were just locking people up, y'all. They were planting evidence. Hundreds of people, they were literally just inventing and fabricating cases on these people and sending them to jail and prison. So we're going to take a look at that first, and then we're going to come back with your illustrious, your friend, the guy that you want to have over for Thanksgiving dinner so that he can explain to you about the sickness that all civilized nations have called jail and prison. So y'all, first let's get into this crazy police scandal, and then we'll get right back into your boy. But before we do, y'all, make sure you take care of your money. I'm not gonna make this a long one, y'all. Go to Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com, or call 844-651-8334, 844-651-8334. If you have $50,000 to $100,000 or more in your retirement, protected from inflation, protected from monetary debasement. You're about to retire. Make sure your money's still there and it's still worth something by investing at least some of it in gold. Talk to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals. Go click the link now, get the free information, and protect your precious retirement.
Taxpayers could be on the hook for a record-setting $90 million police misconduct settlement. That is, if Chicago City Council approves that settlement involving 176 different civil rights lawsuits. They all have one thing in common, and that is former Chicago Police Sergeant Ronald Watts. Our investigator Dave Savini has been digging into the numbers on this and what it really means to taxpayers. Dave, no doubt they're just hearing that total at this point and raising their eyebrows.
That's right, Marie. Former Sergeant Ronald Donald Watts has been a one-man city budget wrecking crew. These 176 lawsuits involve people who were all arrested or served time for cases that have been thrown out after Watts got caught in an FBI sting. Watts was indicted in 2012. He pled guilty, went to prison for extortion and corruption for crimes he committed while leading a tactical team that was accused of planning evidence and shakedowns of suspects. The cases dated back decades, and those convicted had their convictions reversed by former state's attorney Kim Foxx, which led to a flood of lawsuits for civil rights violations.
It was a horrible time for the city. This is a legacy case of magnitude unlike anything I had previously seen. It is the largest number we've had and remains the largest number associated with a particular police officer. This is an important chapter that we are closing for the police department.
This proposed $90 million settlement would be divided up depending on how much time a person served and some other factors, but there is more money involved. We found in addition to this $90 million, the city's already spent $25 million on private law firms to defend Watts. The city said it couldn't keep up this pace and needed to stop the flow of money, which they estimated could have reached $500 million if they continued to litigate each lawsuit individually.
So one problem with this police scandal is this. When you are saying we can't trust the police, and the police are the ones who are giving us the crime statistics, or at least in part, the police are reporting the crimes, then when you say that crime is going down, there is a doubt, a legitimate doubt, because the same people who are telling us that crime's going down may not be that trustworthy, and in fact they have a vested interest in reporting crime stats that show that they're doing their job, right? Because that's what they get paid to do. It looks good on them, looks good on the politicians, and so there is a vested interest to report crime stats that, let's say, massage the crime stats. Let's put it like that. But with that said, y'all, we have two extended clips of your boy, the illustrious sub 10% Mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. I'm just going to play both of these clips. I'm going to play the first one, comment quick, then I'll play the second one. They're extended. Sit back and relax, and let's listen to the wisdom from the nation's least popular mayor. Let's get into it.
Mayor Johnson, we've all seen the horrific video of Irena Zaruska being stabbed in the neck on public transportation. In Chicago, we have countless examples of women being punched in the face, choked out, robbed, abused, murdered by violent repeat offenders. And your only legislation or in regards to public safety on public transportation is don't smoke cigarettes. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the women who have been abused by violent repeat offenders in the city of Chicago?
Well, first of all, my community safety plan is far more substantive than just asking people not to smoke. Our investments in community safety have been unprecedented, quite frankly, and public safety and community safety will always remain my top priority. Our deputy mayor can speak very cogently about the community safety plan, which is the people's plan, and the ultimate goal is to drive violence down in the city of Chicago, whether it's on a train or in a neighborhood. There are way too many individuals, of course, that have been victimized by violence, and it again is my top priority to continue to make sure that we're investing in our detectives division as our detectives bureau coordinates and collaborates with our counterintelligence and all of our stakeholders come together to drive violence down the city of Chicago. Many of these acts, as you have described, are quite horrific, and that's why I'm working hard every single day to make sure that even with the 30% reduction in homicides, even with the over 35% reduction in shootings and shooting victims, as we continue to get a handle on robberies. Look, any act of violence is one act too many. And I'm going to work hard every day to ensure that we build the safest, most affordable big city in America.
Mayor Johnson, we've all seen the horrific video of Charlie Kirk being politically assassinated. In Chicago, we saw an ICE agent reportedly run over by an illegal alien. Many people tell me, real Chicagoans tell me, that it's your violent, racist hate speech that is causing people to commit these acts of violence. What do you say to the real Chicagoans who detest what they call the insipid, insidious, boneheaded hate speech that you engage in on a daily basis?
Well, first of all, I don't engage in hate speech. In fact, I think it's important that we note that, as I've said from the very beginning of this tragedy that occurred in our country, that political violence is not only abhorrent, but it undermines the sensibility of our democracy, and there's no place for political violence. In fact, violence as a whole is something that, as a country and as a nation, that we have to continue to come together to ensure that we eliminate all acts of violence. My prayers, of course, are still with Mrs. Kirk and the 2 children of Charlie Kirk. But again, we boldly and in very direct terms openly reject all acts of violence, and particularly political violence. Thank you for those questions.
So y'all, if you want to be the nation's least popular mayor, if you want to be the laughing stock of the entire country, if you want to be someone who, when they say don't do something, they point to you and they say, hey, you see how that person's doing it? Don't do it that way. If you want to be an illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of any city, then let's follow, well, we already have a model. We have a role model. We have a role model that says criminal justice is a sickness. And y'all saw this from the coming up, y'all. So without any further lead up to it, let's just go ahead and listen. Let's sit around the campfire. Let's sit down. Let's get some marshmallows. Let's make some s'mores. And let's just pay attention and learn and absorb the wisdom from this illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So following up on your alleged pants on fire moment on WBEZ today with my colleague Prosperity, and the ongoing split sentiment as far as sending in troops to militarized, federalized military rather, to Chicago. The remaining question that has yet to be answered, because y'all keep running from it like I'm Marianne Ahern, is what do you, the Illinois Attorney General, and the governor have to offer in lieu of sending in the National Guard, the 101st Airborne, or what have you, to make Chicagoans feel safe in their communities in real time outside of reported statistics and so on?
I think I understand your question. Okay, let me just start with this. How about this? In 1974, there were 970 murders. Okay. 1995, there were 828 murders. 2016, 778 murders. 2021, 805 murders. This has been a problem in this city for a very long time. Now, my deputy mayor, Gatewood, this is the topic and the work every single day to drive violence down in the city of Chicago. So when you talk about what we're offering a better pathway so that we don't have 970 people murdered in our city every single year. Now, one is one too many, but you're not going to convince me that the people of Chicago only deserve law enforcement. I get so sick and tired of people believing that the only thing that black and brown and poor people get to get in this city are badges. People want jobs. It's why we've increased the ability for young people to have jobs in this city. People want health care and behavioral mental health care. That's what they ask me. That's why we've expanded it. People want to be able to afford to live in this city. That's why I'm building more affordable units. People want justice if they do get wrapped up into this spiral of despair in this city. It's why we're actually solving cases, whether it's CVI workers, making sure that we're avoiding retaliation in this city. I get so sick and tired of people in this country and in this city that believes that the only thing that you can offer black people and poor people is jails, incarceration, and police officers. Dr. King said this right here in Chicago, the National Conference on New Politics. What did he say? He said militarism is a sickness. I am trying to eradicate the sickness from this city and from this country. To offer, no, listen, Mark, I get to answer my question now. You've asked it. No, Mark, I'm answering my questions. Of course they are, but you're not going to be able to avoid that if we don't do the things that actually work. We are not split on this issue. The fact of the matter is, no one has asked me to send federal troops into this city to make it safe. It has never come up. It never came up during the campaign. It's never come up in the first 2 years. The fact of the matter is, we are driving violence down on this city, and we're using every single resource that's available to us. Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities. I'm going to work hard every single day to protect the people who are caught up in violence in this city. Guess why? You want to know why? Because the vast majority of them look like me. This president has never asked a very simple question to me, Brandon Scott, Barbara Lee, Randall Woodfin. He doesn't talk to black mayors about what it's like to live in communities that have been disinvested in. So no, we're not going to succumb to the sickness and the evil that Dr. King warned us about a generation ago. It didn't work in 74 when 970 people were being killed. It didn't work in the 90s when no one said a mumbling word about how many people were losing their lives because of violence in this city. And now we're actually doing the work that's working. Now all of a sudden everybody has these ideas. They've shown this is a group project, but we're not going to allow the President of the United States of America or any of his ilk look at the work that we're doing across this country, and then now we're experiencing some level of reprieve, and now he wants to put his name on our paper. No, not going to tolerate it. It's a sickness, and we're going to eradicate it.
So y'all, the irony of these two stories juxtaposed, put together side by side is this. Brandon Johnson, he is where he has a point is here. When you have rogue cops, rogue police officers, police departments, police squads going around, rounding people up, planting evidence, shaking people down, stealing their money, etc., that is a true problem. And in as much as that happens, it probably does happen far more often in poor neighborhoods than in any kind of middle class or rich neighborhood, that you just have cops running around and breaking the law themselves. So if he were talking about that, I would be in agreement with him. If he were talking about lawless cops, the problem is he's talking about the cops that are actually enforcing the law. See, Brandon Johnson thinks that if there's just enough money, people won't break the law. I don't agree with that. Anytime you hear about a society where people don't break the law, it's because those leaders in that society have convinced people that if you break my law, I'm going to break your face. That's it. Think about Dubai. If you break our law, you're going to prison for the rest of your life. Think about Singapore. Do y'all remember there was way back when an American got caught doing some kind of graffiti in Singapore and they caned him? They caned him like with some kind of bamboo cane or something. Look, I'm not saying that, this is the solution. I'm just saying, look at El Salvador. They went just recently, just in the last few years, they went from one of the highest murder rates in the world to practically no murder. Why? Because they rounded all of the criminals up. They rounded up people who probably aren't even criminals. They just look like a criminal, based on whatever their authorities. Now, am I saying I agree with that? No, I'm saying, yeah, you can punish your way out of crime. You can certainly do it. You can. Now, so the point I'm making not is that those are the solution. The point that I'm making is him saying that you can't do it. When people say you can't do it, that's a lie. You can do it. I mean, maybe that's not the American way. Maybe that's not our solution. I'm not arguing for that solution, but I'm arguing against the contention that you can't do it. Oh yeah. Yeah, it can be done. And in fact, it's probably a much quicker way to reduction of crime than trying to invest in communities. And another thing, that's not either or. Brandon Johnson is the king of either or. I'm tired of you saying we should lock people up. What about investing? Fool, do both. How about both, fool? You know, how about you do both? It's not either or. I mean, so he played anyway. And I'm about to start on a rant. All right, let me just chill out. So anyway, y'all, let me know what y'all think about these comments from the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. I just gave you a bit of a rant. So I'm trying not to go too hard, you know. I'm trying not to go too hard on him, y'all, you know. So let me know what y'all think down in the comments. But before you do, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you are not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. What you waiting for? You don't get this kind of colorful commentary anywhere else, people. And for my people with the retirement, y'all go down, hit the link, the first link in the description, Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com. Protect your, what's going to happen when Brandon Johnson's people, the Democrats, get back in office and they come for all your money and they say, hey, the way to stop crime is to take your money and give it to those poor people. Then they won't commit crime against you. You better protect it, y'all. Hit my link and also speak to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals at 844-651-8334. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.